Welcome to Bible History Unfolded, where we explore the ancient truths, spiritual mysteries, and historical depth behind the world's most influential book, the Holy Bible. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and debated questions in both religious and academic circles. Who actually wrote the Bible, and what is the mystery behind the 66 books that make up the sacred scriptures? Stay with us as we unfold the real story behind the most widely read book in human history. The Bible didn't fall from the sky fully written, bound and labeled. It's a collection of 66 books written by more than 40 different authors over a span of around 500 years. These authors came from vastly different backgrounds, from shepherds, fishermen, and kings to prophets, physicians, and scholars. Despite their different time periods, locations, and lifestyles, their writings form a unified message that billions believe to be divinely inspired. That alone is a mystery worth exploring. The Old Testament, also called the Hebrew Bible or Tanakh, was written mostly in Hebrew with some parts in Aramaic. It includes 39 books in the Protestant tradition and was primarily written between 1400 BC and 400 BC. The earliest contributors include Moses, who is traditionally believed to have written the first 5 books of the Bible, known as the Torah or the Pentateuch. These books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, form the foundation of Jewish and Christian belief, outlining the creation story, the covenant with Abraham, the laws given to Israel, and the early history of God's chosen people. As time went on, other historical figures emerged to contribute inspired writings. King David wrote many of the Psalms, beautiful and powerful poems of praise, pain, and hope. His son, King Solomon, is credited with Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs, works of wisdom that continue to shape philosophical and spiritual thought today. Then came the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and the 12 minor prophets, each with messages of warning, hope, and God's promise of redemption. Some were written during times of prosperity, others in exile or war, but all pointed to a larger divine narrative. The New Testament, composed of 27 books, was written in Greek between approximately 45 AD and 100 AD. Its core revolves around the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, offer different but harmonious perspectives on Jesus' life. Matthew was a tax collector turned disciple, Mark a companion of Peter, Luke a physician and historian, and John the beloved disciple. Each gospel emphasizes different aspects of Jesus' teachings and mission. After the Gospels, we have the Acts of the Apostles, written by Luke, which traces the early Christian church, its birth, and explosive growth across the Roman Empire. Then come the letters or epistles written mainly by Paul, a former persecutor of Christians who experienced a radical conversion and became one of Christianity's most powerful voices. His letters to churches in Rome, Corinth, Galatia, and other cities form the theological backbone of the Christian faith. Other contributors include Peter, James, John, and Jude, each offering spiritual insight and instruction to believers facing persecution and doctrinal confusion. The final book of the Bible, Revelation, was written by the Apostle John during his exile on the island of Patmos. It is a mysterious, symbolic vision of the end times, the final battle between good and evil, and the ultimate victory of God. Revelation's vivid imagery and prophetic messages have sparked endless debate and interpretation from scholars to modern day prophecy teachers. What's truly remarkable is that although these 66 books were written over centuries by people who never met each other and came from different social, political, and geographic backgrounds, they tell one continuous story. A story of creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. This consistency is one of the reasons why believers hold that the Bible is divinely inspired, that the true author behind it all is God Himself, speaking through human hands. But how did these books get chosen? That's another part of the mystery. The process of canonization, that is, determining which books were officially considered inspired and authoritative, took centuries. Early church councils and leaders weighed the authenticity, apostolic origin, consistency of doctrine, and widespread usage of each book. Some texts were excluded, like the Gospel of Thomas or the Book of Enoch, either because they lacked historical credibility or conflicted with accepted theology. The 66 books we have today in the Protestant Bible were gradually affirmed by church leaders as inspired and essential. It's important to remember that Catholic and Orthodox Christians include additional books in their Old Testament, known as the Deuterocanonical books, or the Apocrypha, such as Tobit, Judith, and Maccabees. These differences emerged due to variations in ancient Jewish texts and translation traditions, particularly the Greek Septuagint versus the Hebrew Masoretic text. Still, across all Christian traditions, the central message remains that God revealed Himself through history, prophecy, poetry, and the life of Jesus. Skeptics often ask, how can we trust texts written so long ago? And that's a fair question. But it's worth noting that the Bible is one of the most well-preserved and widely documented ancient texts in existence. Thousands of manuscripts, some dating back to within decades of the original writings, have been discovered, confirming the accuracy of the transmission over time. Discoveries like the Dead Sea Scrolls have validated the consistency of Old Testament texts for over 2,000 years. Ultimately, whether you see the Bible as a historical document, a divine message, or both, the question of who wrote it leads to a much bigger question. Why was it written? Each author, guided by experience, vision, or divine encounter, had a message they believed was too important to be ignored. And that message continues to inspire, challenge, and shape the lives of millions today. Thank you for watching Bible History Unfolded. If you found this exploration meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the history, meaning, and legacy of the Holy Scriptures. Join us next time as we uncover another powerful layer in the story of the Bible. Until then, stay curious, stay faithful, and keep unfolding the truth.